And this is precisely why people say Rome wasn't built in one day. Chelsea play host to Fulham and draw 0-0. Let's get into it.
And blue is the colour. Essien! Drogba! Lampard! That could be the championship!
Greetings! Welcome back to Couch Critic with me, Dennis P. For what is your Chelsea match review, but more specifically, a tactical synopsis of Chelsea's performance against Fulham. But before I get into all of that, ladies, gentlemen, friends, foes, do me the favor and hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification button to keep up the latest and the newest. It will help me with the algorithm and get more people watching this content. You know, I've been doing it for a while now. I deserve it. I deserve it, I tell you. And it'll help my partners, my sponsors. They go by the name of Major League Socks. And fellas, if you ever want to walk in the footsteps of greatness, you know what to do. Hit them up. The link will be in the description. Okay, so as we have it, Chelsea played host to Fulham in the first match with a lot of the new signings involved. Obviously, we saw the debut of Enzo. We saw Mudryk get his start. And of course, Badiashile keeping on with his fantastic form. You know, we're still trying to see people come back in the side. I was very shocked to see Reece James get the start. I was very pleasantly surprised. We saw Chilwell coming off the bench as well. So we're starting to see this squad starting to get a little bit more healthy, and we're starting to see the implementation of some of these new pieces. There are a lot of things to discuss though. First and foremost, we're going to be talking about shape 4-3-3 versus a 4-4-2. And we're going to be looking at the advantages, disadvantages that were in play in this game. We're going to be looking at, of course, Enzo, his debut as a Chelsea player, Enzo Fernandez, and what he offered. And we're also going to be talking about, obviously, the main topic for me is synergy, you know, pace, tempo, and rhythm, the things that you need in order to succeed in the Premier League. Okay, obviously, admittedly, I was very excited going into this match, and for good reason. We have some new blood, some new fresh energy into the club. I wanted to see Mudryk play with Enzo. I wanted to see Kai Havertz see if he can basically dovetail and coalesce with the players that we've added. I saw the return of Reece James, which I've been dying for. Maybe a little bit too premature, but we'll speak on that. And Chilwell came back into the side as well. So we're starting to see a semblance of what Chelsea can look like going forward. But one of the things, the key aspects of what is missing in their game right now is just understanding each other's tendencies, getting a rhythm, and understanding what tempo we want to play at, who's setting the tempo, and of course what kind of football, what kind of tempo we want to play our football at. And now for me, the most important position on the pitch is the midfield, and you need a midfield general out there who knows the tendencies of the players that he's playing with, and they understand what he wants to achieve on the pitch as well, and they all work together with this one game plan in mind. And I just don't think that we have that yet. We just don't have the synergy, the chemistry, and the understanding of each other. I mean, I thought Enzo had a pretty good game defensively, and you know, there are times where you can tell that his natural tempo and natural rhythm of the game is a lot faster than the players that we normally play with. There are more than a few instances where he's thinking to push the ball forward, you know, get into the areas where we can be most dangerous, and he's catching our players, you know, Kai Havertz, he's catching Ziyech flat-footed, just not ready to receive the ball, not ready to be on the front foot and ready to go. And that's just basically because that's how we've been playing for a number of years right now. We've been very safe. We've been very assured, slow build-up, slow tempo. And when you see somebody like Enzo come into the side who wants to speed up the tempo, you know, move the ball, play a little bit more direct, you know, make sure that the receiver is running into the ball rather than getting a ball to feet. You know, all these things are what you want from Enzo, and this is why he's so important, because not only does he have the mentality to try to get the ball, advance the ball into the final third in the most dangerous areas, but at the same time, he's speeding up the tempo. He's not giving the defense a chance to reshape and rethink what we're trying to do. This is why we brought in Enzo, not just because of his deft touch on the ball and his passing ability, but because he plays the game at a tempo that we want to play at. You know, we want to speed up the game. We want to use Mudryk off the ball, you know, making those runs in behind. Raheem Sterling the same. You know, Kai Havertz, when he can get his legs underneath him, yeah, he would be used exactly the same. But today, I think, came down to the fact that Chelsea just don't understand everyone's tendencies. We haven't really studied each other's game. We don't have an understanding of where people want to be on the pitch, where they want the ball to feet, or in behind. And all of this stuff just, you know, led to a very, very poor game. We just looked so disjointed. But I expect that stuff to be natural. You know, you're learning a new team, you're learning new teammates. The fulcrum of your team is very, very new to the system, very, very new to the league. So, you know, a lot of that stuff made it very, very hard for Chelsea to play any sort of football today. But I anticipate that going forward, once we get more of an understanding of each other on the pitch, that stuff will be like sussed out real quick, and we will start to see more of the vertical game that Graham Potter wants to play. Now, clearly Chelsea played a 4-3-3 with one solo 6 in the pivot, and that was Enzo Fernandez as a deep line playmaker. And the problems that I had with this game is just we had so much trouble getting him on the ball. Clearly, we can see here that Fulham are playing a 4-4-2 and taking away the middle area of the pitch by being really tight and condensed in and around where Enzo Fernandez is. And what you'd like to see here is you want to see your 8s drop a little bit deeper in the little channels here, so it makes those passes a little bit more tighter and precise. What tends to happen when you play a 4-3-3 with a deep line playmaker is, you know, the defense will be trying to take him out of the game. And what you would like to see is one of your 8s to drop back and help build the attack. But in this instance here, Chelsea again are just too far away. Like our 8s, Gallagher and Mount, are just too far away from, you know, where they can affect the game. And ultimately, it looks to me like Fulham aren't even paying them any respect. They're more focused on keeping Enzo Fernandez off the ball. And if it means playing a more direct pass into Mason Mount and Gallagher, they're willing to live with that rather than get him on the ball, having us initiate our football. And this is where the problem lies. It's not so much that those guys are not capable enough to make the right decisions and teams are not respecting them anymore. It's the fact that they're not recognizing that they have to drop a little bit deeper to get on the ball just to get us playing. That's as simple as just getting us playing. It's not about trying to dictate the next move and whatnot. It's just come deep to attract the defense so it opens up space for somebody like Enzo Fernandez to get on the ball. It changes the angles where he can get on the ball, and we just didn't do that enough today. Like, too often when when they pressed us from the front, he was basically just boxed out of the game. It looked to me like Graham Potter was trying to play the 4-3-3 and spread Conor Gallagher and Mason Mount to open up a little bit of more of a passing lane for Enzo Fernandez, but that pass into the middle of the pitch just invited so much pressure. Even if you wanted to give Enzo the ball and he had a little bit more space, the fact that they would just converge on him like 3 or 4 guys at a time, trying to converge on the ball to keep him from making that next move, was really where the problem was. So playing so open, like leaving the 8s a little bit further up the pitch in more of a 4-1-4-1 shape. I really didn't like the shape today. I thought that we should probably be playing with a double 6, just because it would have been giving our backline more options to play out. Maybe that would have given Chelsea a little bit more opportunities to get on the ball and build attacks, disguise where the runs are coming from a little bit better, like they did in the first half against Liverpool. So lots of problems there. The shape obviously being one for me, and also not having a synergy, a real understanding of where somebody likes to get on the ball, and a trust that when he, just the trust factor, just knowing that when you give him the ball in those areas, he's not going to give it away or lose it. Ultimately, if we cannot play with a double 6 with Enzo, I think that teams are going to have an easy time just taking him out of the game, like we saw Fulham do today. So clearly what you needed to see here is you needed to see more action from the 8s dropping deeps to get into these areas, to break the press, to initiate the transition. And, no secret that both Conor Gallagher and Mason Mount are a little bit jaded, a little bit out of form right now, not necessarily playing their most influential football right now, and it shows because instead of recognizing when they can get the opportunities to get on the ball, they're kind of a little bit more labored, maybe not wanting to get on the ball in those situations. I don't really want to focus on the head games that exist on the pitch because I think that that's a guessing game really, but it felt to me like those two in particular were lacking a bit of confidence on the ball, and sometimes when some of the touches go a little bit wayward, you start losing a little bit more confidence, a little bit more, and the result is you just stop getting into those areas to get on the ball because you don't trust your touch anymore. So I think there was a little bit of that happening today with Gallagher and Mason Mount. And again, they just need to find their football. We had a lot of new people on the pitch today, and when you have players that are out of form, it definitely throws off the rhythm of the game even more so. Not just the new players, but also the players that are out of form that are still trying to find their way in. Now, if there's one criticism that I had of Graham Potter today was just not really understanding the balance on the pitch well enough. He had players coming back from injury that haven't played football in a long time. He had guys that were sick on the pitch in the first half, in Mudryk's case. He had a lot of new players coming into the side that don't necessarily have that same sort of understanding and synergy. I mean, some of it down to the fact that we just don't have enough healthy bodies, but still, I just feel like the chemistry that you want to see. There was nothing of it today. Like, obviously Mason Mount's out of form, Gallagher not really in form, Kai Havertz also not really in form, although he didn't play too poorly today. You have that, and then you bring in new players into the mix, and where is the synergy? Where do we feel solid? All of that just led to a bit of lack of balance in the side. I just really think that Graham Potter could have did a better job with the selections today and just give us a little bit more balance. I know we don't have much in terms of depth, but just a little bit more balance so that we can find guys find themselves in the game. I also think we got a pretty good debut from Enzo Fernandez, and we started to see glimpses of what his tendencies are. We started to see glimpses of what he can offer this team, as if we didn't know already. A guy that really wants to dictate tempo, wants to work the ball efficiently, quickly into the dangerous areas on the pitch, has switches, he has through balls, he has everything. In terms of like his on ball, he's always got his head on a swivel and knows where the next pass is going to go. This is what you want in a deep lying playmaker, a guy that when he gets on the ball, he's already made a decision about what he wants to do with it, and it's not like he's dwelling on the ball and waiting for the move to develop. He knows where the next action is because he's always surveying the pitch. This is who you want to be the brain of your team, and I think that we have it now. I mean, he didn't get enough opportunities on the ball to really dictate what we want to do, to really like force our attackers to make runs that they normally haven't been making. Like, all of these things you really think that are going to be hallmarks of his game will just come naturally once obviously the players that he's playing with understand that this guy's tempo is a lot faster than we're used to right now, and he likes to play a lot more direct. And once you train that back into players like Raheem Sterling, when you don't have to train Mudryk, I think he understands that anyways, but the tempo of the game is going to pick up, and then gradually we're going to start making those connections. This is where synergy comes in. We have to have synergy on the pitch, understanding tendencies. And when we get somebody like Enzo Fernandez on the ball more often, he's going to be dictating when those moves are happening. So lots of things to look forward to. I thought he had a good game defensively as well. It's just now we have to find more ways to get him on the ball, and that's going to come down to Graham Potter. Now, the natural tendency when you buy a bunch of players and you're really excited about the team, and you feel like we bought the right pieces at the right time. The natural tendency is to get really buoyed before a big game, or the first match we see all these things together. And in truth, we're really just in preseason. Like, we really are just in preseason. People need to learn each other and understand each other's tendencies. But the natural response is to blame the coach. And for me, as much as Graham Potter is not faultless in this, I don't think that that's where the iron needs to go right now. We need to give these guys a little bit more time to just get together and understand. But one of the things that I didn't understand from Graham Potter today was, number one, the shape, obviously 4-3-3 with basically 4-1-4-1. And when that proved to not work and he took off Mason Mount in one of the eights, he decided to drop Kai Havertz into the 8 position. And I don't know what you guys saw, but that first 10 minutes where he was in the 8, he looked like a fish out of water, did not have any understanding of where he needed to be effective, was still playing very advanced forward, like as a number 10, more so than a number 8 to help build the attack. And even situations where you expected him to drop to just help build the attack, his head is already looking to get into the final third. And there was just no cohesiveness, no connection between the midfield and the attackers, and you would like to have seen him in that role playing as that number 8. So maybe that lasted for about 10 minutes, and then they switched to a 4-2-3-1 and put him back in his more natural position in number 10. Not that it produced a lot change, like we still didn't play very well, but it took Graham Potter a while to realize that we're playing too many players out of position. Obviously Conor Gallagher playing as a number 6 when we went to the 4-2-3-1 next to Enzo Fernandez, and his tendency is just to be all over the place again, like just really just chasing after the ball winner. We just didn't really have the discipline that is needed to play really effectively in a 4-2-3-1. Like, guys were just bombing all over the place, and the reason why you go to a 4-2-3-1 is to give more options to build from the back. And still, for the most part, Enzo Fernandez, you see flashes of Conor Gallagher come back and drop in to try and get on the ball. But again, his tendency was very much to just get forward and try to impact the final third. And this is about understanding and whether or not you actually understand your role. And that fundamentally comes down to the manager, comes down to Graham Potter. You play Kai Havertz in the 8. Does he understand what he's supposed to be doing? Does he understand where he needs to be on the pitch in order to be effective to help us grow the game? You play Conor Gallagher in the 6, and you give him the license to roam forward. Does he have the understanding in the game of what situations we need him in, his rightful position as a deep lying 6? And I just looked today like none of the guys really had a real sense of understanding of each other on the pitch. And for that reason, I think Graham Potter is going to be put on watch. Like you have to put that sort of performance on watch where you see guys are not really getting what it is the manager's trying to tell them to do, if he's telling them at all. Like build-up play is fundamental to any team's ability to, impact the final third. Like you have to be able to understand where you're trying to hurt teams. You have to understand when you need to be in positions to, advance the ball, get into transition. And it wasn't for a very long spell, but like forget 15, 20 minutes of that game in the second half, we just looked like we had no understanding of that. And that, to me, comes down to fundamentally the manager. But I do think I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. I'm excited still. I still think that we have a lot of pieces that, once they all come together and, we start figuring out what each other's roles are, I think we have something that is special here. We get to see Enzo Fernandez, we get to see him link up with João Felix next game, and then hopefully Mudryk returns to form, returns to 100%. He gets into the game as well. Like, just the connection, the spine that we're forming right now is starting to look really, really good. Obviously, we don't have the head yet. We don't necessarily have a striker yet. But I do think that we have a lot of guys that are capable now of really hurting top teams. I'm talking about Mudryk, I'm talking about João Felix, and I'm talking about Fernandez. And those 3 guys can orchestrate something for us to be really effective in the final third. Time will tell, time will tell. As you can tell, I'm in Toronto and it's freezing today, like mad cold. So I got the toque on, I got the sweater on, and I'm just trying to keep warm out here, folks, trust me. But we move. We got West Ham next, and it's going to be a very, very interesting battle. Obviously, a lot of eyes on the midfield. We're going to be looking at obviously Declan Rice and Fernandez again, and hopefully we can get some more healthy bodies in that midfield, because right now I really do feel like we need to get more people in and around Enzo Fernandez to help him slowly acclimatize to what the Premier League is like, whether it be Zakaria, whether it be N'Golo Kante, please, N'Golo Kante, please, or even Kovacic for that matter. We just need to see a better complement of 6s and more support on the ball. So hopefully any one of those guys comes back and we can start really starting to play our football again. But guys, don't panic. This is still early jugglings, man. There's nothing that I saw today that we can't work on the training pitch. There's nothing that I saw today that doesn't lead to being optimistic about the future. But until then, keep the blue flag flying high and up the Chels. Peace.